What's up, everybody? I am back with the final trilogy to the Clerks franchise. Uh, I enjoyed this film, but not as good, in my opinion, as compared to like the first two. But I like how things. I like how it came together, but it just there's certain decisions in the end that I personally did not agree with. But we'll get to that soon. But once again, directed, written by Kevin Smith. This time produced by Liz Destro. Once again, Brian O'Halloran as Dante Hicks, Jeff Anderson as Randall Graves. And it's got a lot of returning characters coming into this trilogy for the third film, because it's gonna be like obviously the final one, because this movie's been people been wanting to get this movie a third one for a long time, and obviously Kevin Smith has been working on the idea of this for a while. But we got also Elias Grover back again, once again played by Trevor Fairman. And of course, got Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith as Jay and Silent Bob. So this is set 15 years after the events of the Clerks 2. And I was like, as soon as I saw the photo of Becky on the cash register in the Quick Stop, like that part still immediately bothers me. Clearly, it's obvious from the beginning that Becky has died, and not only died during a drunk driving accident. While she was apparently pregnant, losing the baby. So it's literally like, I don't know, days after the event from Clerks 2. And immediately I was like, oh my God. And that's probably my biggest con of this personally, because I would have thought, because clearly Rosario Dawson, who was, working on like the Mandalorian and like pretty soon Ahsoka around this time, as obviously she put some time aside to come film scenes for this film, was dope. So I was kind of hoping to see like, okay, Brian as a parent. But that was stripped away because they lost the baby. I was like, dang, have no child that Brian has to raise on his own. That I'm pretty sure that's something that Kevin Smith probably thought about in like a previous draft or something. But I would have personally gone with that. Being like a single father raising a child on his own, it's like having to navigate that, because what was another Kevin Smith movie with Ben Affleck being like a single father. That's I guess you don't want to repeat of that, but I don't know. It makes better sense for him just being alone. Not alone. He said Randall, but it's like it seems like a more logical step for Dante in his life, in his early 40s. Raising a kid. So that's disappointing in my opinion. But then now that obviously the video store closed down, so Jay and Silent Bob turned it into a legal weed dispensary, which makes sense because like Blockbuster, there's no video stores like that anymore with everything streaming. But then at some point while having like uh, a discussion with Elias, who has this little NFT partner named Blockchain, who only whispers in his ears, pretty much like a discount Silent Bob. I think that actually is Silent. I mean, Kevin Smith's daughter's boyfriend. I think. At least I think that's uh, from stuff that I've seen with Kevin Smith and his daughter Harley. I think that's her boyfriend. Anyway, and of course she shows up in like a couple of cameos, cameo shots in this film, which makes sense. I mean, it's like I think since not Tusk, but the one Kevin Smith did before that with like those wiener dogs or something like that. I don't know. Is when he started casting her in certain things, and she got into certain TV shows and here and there. Uh, and I don't even think I can qualify as like Harley Quinn Smith as a nepo baby, because she isn't like inserting herself into every little thing because she's Kevin Smith's daughter. You know, I think Harley Quinn Smith is doing it the right way in my personal opinion, because it's not like I said, she's not inserting herself in every little thing imaginable in Hollywood. She's taking like a good measured steps. She's doing like a proper way. She's she's a star, but she's not like overextending herself just because. It's not like like I don't know. It's not like something like I don't know, like Kevin Hart or something like that, where it's like darn near every goddamn thing imaginable. She's picking certain projects that suits her. Anyway, so Randall ends up getting like a heart attack, which he goes to the hospital, and I like the whole dynamic between him and his doctor, where he's trying to make talk about like Mandalorian and all these Star Wars stories, and she like screws up a lot of pop culture sayings, like I don't know, I think it was like she confused one character with the Spider-Man great responsibility line, and it just as a geek it will bother you to like I don't know, it will just bother you when somebody does something like that. But she managed to help Rando, and then he has this, because this premise is based on at least partly based on the experience Kevin Smith had when he had a heart attack many years ago, and so this is where he got the idea with Rando, like coming up with an idea of making like a movie, because he watched tons of movies and he always complain about how certain things done. So now he wants to do something, and based off of he says his life working at the convenience store, and he calls it Inconvenience. And he tried to hold up like auditions and everything like that. You get like certain cameos like Ben Affleck, Melissa Benoist from Supergirl. You get even like a bunch of cameos from people who were in the previous two films come back to reprise their roles. But you also got like Sarah Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr., Bobby Moynihan, Fred Armisen. We get Mark Bernardin, Kevin's friend, who of course he gotta be a part of this film, but he doesn't say much. He's like the Black Silent Bob, pretty much. Yeah, Ben Affleck as Boston John. My God. Uh, uh, yeah, a couple of people from Chasing Amy. That's where, like, you know, uh, uh, the only other time I've seen like uh, Rosario Dawson straight after Clerks 2. Uh, Danny Trejo, Anthony Michael Hall, Chris Wood, a couple people from Mallrats. So yeah, even a couple people from uh, uh, Comic Book Man shows up here. So it's really dope to see familiar people in Kevin Smith's like orbit, because he directed a couple of CW superhero TV shows, DC shows. That's why we see like Melissa Benoist show up a little bit, as far like as an auditioner. So it's really dope. Um, uh, and it's fun to see like just Ben Affleck showing up in an audition just to ham it up. It was really funny. Because you forget Ben Affleck, he is freaking funny. He can be very funny. You think this is this hardcore action star, but like Harrison Ford or Bruce Willis, they had some comedic chops too. We just like tend to forget that. But Randall just decides to, it's very run parallel to what happened behind the scenes from the first Clerks film, where Randall decides to just cast all his friends and shoot at very low budget. Even have like Silent Bob, Kevin Smith himself, decides to use his camera to shoot in the store. And usually you have to wait until the tail end of the film to get Silent Bob to talk, but he just took it right in the second act, and he just starts blurting out his opinion as a movie director. It's like, and I really like this because it gives you, unless you're really deep into like, I'm pretty sure Kevin Smith talked about this before, but it's just his reasoning behind, from the first film, shooting it in black and white, because as the director, you gotta learn about like lighting and everything like that, and how to properly shoot certain things to get the right shot and everything looks good. So shooting in a convenience store, the lighting is horrible because of probably the fluorescent lighting. So that's why he chose to go with black and white. Also because since it's a convenience store, just like those old school convenience store cameras that shot in black and white, you want to go for that feel. So that's why it looked the way it did all the way back then. It's not just because it was like kind of low budget. But Kevin Smith is smart. He's a very smart director. Sure, not many people like all his films, but you cannot deny his level of knowledge when it comes to behind the camera stuff. Because there's only like a handful of Kevin Smith stuff like I really, really adore. The Clerks films, more specifically, personally, the first two. Of course, Mallrats being another one, and then there's parts of Cop Out I liked, parts of it. I didn't like the entire thing. I've seen Chasing Amy, but there's too much downer stuff here and there. But beyond that, it's pretty much all the Kevin Smith films that I actually personally enjoy. But the Clerks franchise, at least the first two, is my very deep personal favorite ones. So you see like it's a funny thing between Dante and Randall, where Dante is kind of ticked, where it's like he's like darn near a footnote in the story of Randall's movie, and he's like, I'm with you like almost all the time. How I'm like the footnote. He calls him the Dak, of the film. If you don't recall, in Star Wars Empire, Dak was Luke's co-pilot that gets killed when you think he can take on the Empire by himself, kind of thing. I think the Family Guy made a joke about that in their Star Wars parody, where it was like, "Get ready to suck some Dak," and get shot immediately. They make him like the Dak, but uh so that's when, like, because Randall is, after the whole heart attack scare, which he likes to throw in people's faces, he wants to make this happen, and he made Dante the producer, so he want to make sure that he get the money. So he put up half of the money he owns in the convenience store, calls up Emma from the second movie, who lives in Florida, to foot him like the $30,000, so that way they can afford to shoot this movie. Randall even goes so far, without consulting Dante whatsoever, he completely ignores everybody's feelings but his own, and he sends part of the script to Veronica, who apparently is divorced and has a daughter, and it's fun to see her again after all these years. This is really fun to see Veronica again. And so she shows back up and starts, causing like a big scene, like, what the fuck is this? It's like I don't want time for this. And then, like, the fact that she didn't agree to have her story told and this stuff, because like, and like, once again, calling back 37. Oh god, that gets me. That was like nice little callback right there, because that was pretty funny. Randall's still giving her shit over after all these years, ain't never letting that go. That was really funny. But unbeknownst to everybody else, she's going through personal family stuff, because with her husband separated, and then the daughters mad at her, and she just, out of frustration, blurts out, it's like, you have no respect for what I'm going through, it's like you got no family and everything like that. And of course she catches herself realizing, like, what she just said, knowing full well what happened to Dante and his wife and unborn kid. So she runs back to her car to cry, and Dante chases after her. Kudos to Dante. He's very mature about it. It's like, look, I know you didn't mean all that stuff, it's fine. And he mentions how his, despite the circumstances, it's great to see her after all these years. And then they end up having sex in the car right in front of the convenience store, where these goofballs sitting there outside the door watching. That's like, oh my god, it's so freaking embarrassing. And then far from the distance, you see some stranger recording that on their phone, and I was like, oh my god, this is a tired thing. And I was happy for Dante. I was like, oh my god, are you setting, like, I'm thinking like, oh, he's setting up to get these two back together again after all these years. She's separated from her man, clearly, and then she has a kid that he could easily be the stepdad for. Not gonna turn out that way. But now that they got, like, Veronica on board, they reshooting all the stuff that we've seen from the first film, which it's kind of like, as you see the final product, the shots is lifted from the original film, and it's like they're like super young, like in their 20s, and it's like, oh, in your 40s, and it's like, how, if you're filming yourselves as yourselves, it's a hard sell to buy, where Dante, who was like, and Randall, who was super skinny back in the day, and it's like, y'all got dad bods now. Not like you're not fat, but you got dad bods now, and it's like, it's hard to sell that. But you got, I guess, it's one of those moments you gotta suspend your disbelief a bit. Uh, but then they had to shoot scenes from movies for that donkey show scenario in the second film. But Dante has a panic attack. He couldn't go. And there's moments where Dante is having like uh personal conversations with uh, a dead Emma who shows up as kind of like a spirit or something like that. And she's trying to convince him to move on. He can't keep holding like a torch for her after all these years. He got at some point move on with his life. But then she's trying to tell him to like, don't run, don't do it. And of course he has like a full-blown panic attack and runs away, then gets hammered, which is super ironic considering the fact that he lost his wife due to a drunk driver and he's sitting again wasted. He shows up on the set completely like hammered, pissing off Randall, and then they shooting that scene where, you know, Dante, after the whole moment with crap, what's her name, the chick that banged the dead guy in the bathroom. After that scenario, they had that little scene where, you know, Dante's wallowing in self-pity, but then this is where like Dante finally blurts out his true feelings and you know, like, I've been trying to make you happy this whole time because that's what the doctor said, because you had a freaking heart attack, because you keep throwing it in my freaking face, and you dare tell me that I was not contributing or thinking of myself when I was helping out, making sure to achieve your dream. Like, screw you, buddy. And yes, I know you almost died, but my life did die. My world did die. I lost my wife and my unborn kid. But do you care? Clearly not. And then, you know, everybody's seeing this, and it's like heartbreaking. And kudos to like Brian O'Halloran, Brian O'Halloran, because man, he was acting his ass off in this scene. Man, I'm shocked that he hasn't done more stuff. I'm pretty sure he's acted here and there and bit stuff, but man, in this particular moment, man, he is just chewing up this freaking scene. He is really good. He's pouring his heart out. I was like, dude, that is insane. Good acting here. I was feeling it. That's a mark of a good actor, obviously. You're just feeling this emotion, raw emotion, and then he has a heart attack right there. And it's kind of seated earlier in the film when like the doctor warns like, hey, y'all are just around the same age, you probably should check your cholesterol too and everything like that. So he's in the hospital, and ignorant Randall's like, you know, telling Elias like he better run back to finish up his movie, and Elias like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Oh, by the way, Elias, who thought he caused Randall's heart attack, you know, renounced Christianity and then started like, you know, worshiping Satan. He become a Satanist, and this is like a cool running gag. Every time you see this dude, he's in some different weird goth get up or Satanist type of get up, and a couple of times he's, you know, literally dressed as people from characters from other movies, like Tim Curry, as he's, you know, dressing like a cross-dress type of thing. I'm pretty sure you guys know, I never seen the film, but if you guys, I've seen the image, but I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about. He was dressed in that at one point, and he was dressed as that robot, you know, chick from Blade Runner with the, you know, the white hair and the white makeup and the dark, you know, spray paint eyes and everything like that. Which he doesn't know what Blade Runner is. He never seen Blade Runner. But it's like a nice running gag with him just showing up in a different type of, you know, Satanist type of outfit. Is freaking hilarious. But he chews out Randall and tells him that the guy went crawling to his ex-girlfriend who lives in Florida to beg for money so he can make your dream come true, and realizing, you know, how true blue his friend is and how much he was taking him for granted. uh he sees him getting wheeled to the ER, and he's trying to say he's sorry and everything like that, but the doctor pushes him away. He runs back, which I call cap, given the fact that he got like a bit of a dad vibe, but it's like I don't know how far the hospital is. He runs from the hospital all the way back to the quick stop, and it's like, dude, there's no way you ran all that way without a car. No. But he goes back and he re-edits the movie, and he gets Jay and Silent Bob to cause a distraction in the hospital so he can sneak in to talk to Dante. I keep calling him Brian, but I'm trying to mention about the character. So he shows, he holds Dante's hand, and he shows Dante the final footage, and he tells him, like, you know, you're no Dak, you're the main character, and you're the most important person in my life, and I'm sorry for how I was treating you. You're the best friend in the world. And Dante sees the film, and they show clips of the original film and how it turned out. And you see inside Dante's mind as he's sitting in like a movie theater next to Becky, who walks away with him, and Dante ends up dying, passing away peacefully after finishing the movie. And so they hold a funeral, and now that the NFTs are, you know, blowing up, Elias tosses, and which is very callous of Emma, given the fact that your ex-boyfriend just passed away and you're asking for your part of the money that he owed you and stuff like that. It's like, dude, they just, you know, not too long ago put him in the ground. Like, Jesus. Clearly she's still bitter about what happened in the second film, but it's clearly been like 15 years. Probably should been remarried, been hooked up with another person, got married, and moved on with your life. You gotta freaking let that go. So, but like Elias tosses his share of the money to her, like, here, take your blood money. And now Randall points out to Elias, revisiting the same line that he told Elias in the second film when they thought Dante was going to move away. It's like, when, like I told you, Elias, whenever Dante is gone, like, you gonna have to become my new best friend. And like, I meant that. And you see, like, which is a nice moment, because despite his constant teasing, he does consider Elias a friend. And so, you know, it's something that, you know, Randall will never have to be truly alone. He still has like a really good friend he can share the rest of his life with. And then you see like a spirit of Dante sitting, standing next to Randall as the camera pans out, and the movie ends. And I have my, you know, I guess, you know, the movie ends the way like Kevin Smith wanted to end, and it makes sense. But personally, it's like, God, it's like, I did not like how it ended with Dante like that. I mean, it's like, personally, it's just like, I don't know. Like, the fact that he doesn't even have like a kid, it seems kind of like, I don't know. You don't want to end like that. No guy wants that in their life. Sure, like, you know, there's a few guys that, you know, end up childless and stuff like that, but it's just, I don't know, for someone like Brian, you want like a happy ending. It is more of like a bittersweet ending, but it's like, I don't know, like, at the very least, Dante can easily make a happy life with Veronica after all these years, and, you know, raising a child together with her, and just like, I don't know, ended how it started kind of situation. That seemed like a little more satisfactory. And I guess that's I get in my mind as I was going through the movie, and it's like, recalling the line Dante mentions in the first film about a series of down notes. That's what life is a series of down notes. But I don't know, man. I just personally I just can't agree with it. It's like I do not like the way it ends. It's like it seems so tragic for Dante and this arc he was on. And it seems like God. It's like you want to have like a solid, happy ending throughout his 40 years of life, and it's like you didn't have like a happy ending, a true happy ending with Becky, or because one of three ways. One, Becky didn't die, and they have a kid, and he's trying to navigate marriage and raising a kid, and have to work in the relationship. It's not all honeymoons. There's ups and downs, and this tumultuous relationship that they got to rekindle that spark again. Or if Becky dies but the child live, having to navigate leading a single being a single dad and navigating through that while also dealing with Randall and his heart attack situation, what have you. Or third option, if both did not make it, but you reintroduce Veronica again and she has a child, and they rekindle their relationship, and it ends with them coming back together and starting like a blended family kind of situation. I would have been happy with any one of those three scenarios, and it will still feel logical to me for the story arc of Dante Hicks. But that's not what we got, and I feel very bad about it. I can't sit there and put it as something like I completely enjoy. I mean, I enjoyed it up to a point where Dante dies, and that's just God. I did not agree with that personally. But prior to all that, like, I thoroughly enjoyed Clerks 3. But I think the first two is still like the best ones. This movie had like a budget of $7 million, came in a box office of 4.7, which is a shame. And I think I attribute it to the fact that it was only released in select theaters. He couldn't get it to release at a, domestically, let alone worldwide. So I think that affected it quite a bit. But regardless, that was all of the Clerks films. I've been wanting to get into those for a long while now, and I finally do it. And coincidentally, it would be around the 30th anniversary of the first film. So now I got all three done, and pretty soon I'm gonna have it up on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkativecarl. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of the ending if you saw Clerks 3. But next week it'll be the start of the Valentine's Day, Black History Month type of stuff. So I'll start getting into a handful of movies related to such content. One being the first one being like an ultimate classic, if you guys remember it, but I'm gonna leave that as a surprise. And another one I was very curious about. So one's, the first one's gonna be like, Black history oriented. The next one's gonna be very Valentine's Day oriented. But the second one would be something that, I'm not sure how often it was advertised, but I remember images that I completely forgot about it until last year. Something sparked my memory of it that I'm shocked I never sat down and got to see it. But I'm going to see it pretty soon. Then I'm going to talk about it some point next week. But anyway, I will see you guys later on tonight when I get back to some Tekken 8 story mode. But beyond that, I will see you guys soon. Take care. Have a great rest of your evening. Peace.